Hey everyone, we're gonna wait a couple more minutes for more people to join us. Yeah, we're excited. We have a lot of data to dive into tonight, and it's gonna be a lot of fun, I feel like. I'm gonna share with you guys right now a link. So you're able to get all the Sail Norwich analytics.
Yeah, that's the race reports. That's kind of what we're gonna be looking at. So I'll be sharing my screen, but if you guys, you can open that up and peruse through it, and if you see anything that strikes you, we can talk about it.
Yeah, so in the group chat, I just sent a link. That's all of the sail reports that has all of our racing in it from this past weekend. And we'll get going in here in just a couple of minutes.
You're using the speaker. You're sure we can hear people?
Yeah,
I gotta turn the Zoom call.
Can I ask a dumb question? I assume I have to sign up for an account in Nord Analytics, and then I'll be able to see the stuff in the link.
I'm not sure. Did you try clicking it?
you should.
I clicked it. It brought me to a sign-in.
Your sign-in should be the sign-in that you made on Saturday.
No.
Well, how come I was able to open it then?
I might have logged in on your computer at some point.
You said maybe the sign-in for Mark's set that.
No, that won't work. That will not work.
It sounds like if I make a user, then I would give it to you. Then you would probably add me to it.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Is anyone else having the same problem?
Disable.
Yeah, we can't see it without logging in.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? I can. I have to change my password after this, but we can all log into my account.
Why can we download it as a PDF?
No.
You know, just share your screen with us so we can see what you're looking at.
Yeah, I'm working on that right now. Megan, can you let me share my screen?
You should be able to already.
Okie dokie.
This is more just for you to go back and look at after the meeting, but we'll share it right now.
Okay, I'm signed in and I have an event not found. So if I send you my username, it's my email, maybe you can add me to it.
Yeah, I should be able to do that.
I can put it in the chat if you want.
We're on a meeting.
So, do you want me to start talking? Or do you want
Yeah, you can switch over.
So our objective today is kind of looking at all of the data that was collected over the weekend and kind of, last week when we had our debrief, we just kind of barely touched our data. And our goal this week is to kind of dive deeper into it and see what specific boats did differently and what successes they had and how we can start applying that to our racing and our boats. So Sean is going to start off.
All right, yeah, we'll do. So if you make an account and send me your email address for that account, later I can figure out how to make it so you can see it. But I might have to add permissions for every boat, so it might take a little bit.
But what are we looking at right now, Sean?
So the boats that we tracked were Ian Cook, Scotty, Finn, Alan, Bridget, Schellenbach, Schroff, and myself. And we actually, so instead of like looking at the video overlay and the GPS like we did last time mostly, we were able to get where did they all go? Where did that go? Okay, so we actually have, with the marks up out, we're able to get all the locations of the marks, and the other one is fixed. We actually can see our starting lines now, and we have our windward mark recorded in there. And what that allows us to do is, for each race, we can go through and actually it'll figure out some numbers for us. So we can basically go through the races. You know, I have written down who won each race that had trackers, and kind of just talked about what people who won. All right, so this is race 2 right now.
Let's stick with one race and just talk all the way through it. So we'll start with race 2
So
and talk
who won race 2?
all the way through race 2.
Scotty won race 2, followed by Bridget, Camerata, Schroff, Schellenbach, Finn, and me bringing up the rear. No, we didn't race in race 2, did we?
No.
Oh, we did. Okay. So looking at just the start, first of all, so right out it has Schroff had the best start. It says he won the boat, so he's this gold track right there. Now it's blue. One second here.
Looks like you can see, get a feel for how far back everyone was at go. So I crossed at 7, Scott a half a second before, Bridget 2.6 back, seconds.
So
Hey, but I was going 6 knots at the start. Look at that.
that is true. So yeah.
Hammer in there, Alon.
One thing interesting, so like we don't have wind data, which is kind of a drag, but so the furthest person off the line was Ian, and then Finn. Where did they start? So basically, this kind of is a good example of line sag. So if you look at the boats that highlight the boats that are pretty far off the line, they all had middle of the line starts versus.
Yeah, how do we know which color we are?
How do we know who started first and from this?
Yeah, so
Already up there.
Shrafi was already. Sorry.
Yeah, so the boats that really were on the line with a lot of speed and hit it and were close to the line were it was obviously the pin and the boats. So that, I mean, everybody's familiar with line sag, right?
Yeah, to a degree, yeah.
Explain
Alon,
it
you
for
were pin
people
boat
who
there.
might not know.
Basically, line sag is, you know, the longer the line is towards the center of it, it gets harder to gauge when you're actually on the line. So instead of being, you know, a straight line, in reality, the way the boats behave is it's kind of like an arc, where the boats in the center feel like they're right on the line, but they're actually pretty far back. And I mean, it's like significant. So, you know, at the gun, and for this race, the gun might have been off by a few seconds, but you can just say relatively, you know, Schroff was 5.9 meters away from the line at the boat. And then in the center of the line, it was like 15. So that's 10 meters. So that's 2 boat lengths for these boats.
Wait a minute, at go?
What?
No way. At go, or when was that? At 5.9 meters below the line? Or
Yeah.
is that from starboard end?
So actually, if we look at, let's look at race 3, because I know for a fact the gun was at, because race 4 we'll look at. That's when I started using my timer.
Scotty over early about one.
According to the tracker, yeah. But
0.1, buddy, by 1/10 of a second. Or Scott's not on the line, huh? Oh, that's too bad.
yeah, so
Over early.
Below, line cross stat, position percent from starboard line. Yeah, Scotty has a lot of boat starts. But I felt the starboard side of the line was farther up the course.
yeah, so that is, I don't know if you guys noticed, but looking at all the marks up on tracking, we moved the windward mark, but the line never changed. So if we go to the map, so right now we're square up to the wind direction. And if you look, the right side of the line is pretty significantly upwind versus the port. So the boat was favored all day.
Definitely.
Yeah, like pretty significantly, especially after the marks have got moved, the windward one moved.
I'm just a little confused. Was the boat the marks are at that, or was the yellow buoy the marks at that, or the boat?
So the marks about was on the right. So the marks about would have been the starboard end of the line where a committee boat normally would be.
Okay, never mind. We're good.
Yeah, so race 4, Scotty won that one as well, questionably over early. So it really looks like the boats that had the best starts were the boats that started at the boat end of the line. But again, we see that, you know, so this one is actually is accurate. Scott was right on the line. Schroff, you were a meter off. You were starting right next to him on the boat side. So Bridget literally was in the center of the line at 50%, and she was 10.6 meters off.
3.5 boat lengths off the line. Does that sound like you at go, Bridget?
Jack says yes. There's definitely like, there's one start, I don't remember it's one, where as soon as the gun went off, we were like, oh shoot, we were the line sag. Like we literally said that. So
This looks like it. Looks like it. You were ripping a good 2 going, you know, full head of steam at about 2.8 knots there. Down speed.
Yeah, really cruising at nearly 3 knots.
Yeah, but 50%
right.
from starboard line. So you bullseyed the middle of the line though, so that's pretty good.
So let's just focus on starts. I'm gonna go to the next race, and
I can't
just
imagine 10 meters though, because that's a T10.
It
think
is, yeah,
those-
that can't be what that means, yeah.
I think those lengths seem a little off.
Only for you, I would make sense, though, Schellenbach. Your starts weren't great.
Yeah, I can picture a 10 meters exactly.
If we didn't go claw hogging with my mask, I planned to talk crap to you, but obviously, it didn't pay off.
Maybe here's a hypothesis. Maybe since it knows the exact position of the right end of the line, but how does it know the exact position of the left end of the line?
because I pinged it and it didn't move all day.
Oh, you pinged it?
Yeah.
And also, actually, the transducer itself is in the middle of the boat, so that right there is 1.5 meters. Built into the line could that be, or is it calibrated for the length of the boat?
No, I didn't calibrate it for the length of the boat. But I mean, it's just really the number to look at is the difference between, between the boats. Cause like relatively it'll be the same. Maybe it wasn't exactly 10 off the line, but like 10 compared to 2, like measuring the boats against each other is going to be fairly accurate. Again, we had Bridget starting in the center of the line, 11 meters off versus so Scotty and Finn both started right at the boat, and they were right on it. Finn started a little bit further behind with like 0 boat speed. So I mean, it's really just something to be aware of, like line sag, even on a small, like when people think about line sag, they tend to think about like giant lines, where you have like 50 boats in the line. It like most definitely exists even in a small fleet like this. The boats that are going to get off to the edges are going to be much closer at the gun than the boats in the center. We also discovered a little bit of drama we'll talk about later when we're going through this involving Mr. Schroff. What? You got it with your feet?
I'm never implicated in drama. I resent that you would say that.
I definitely heard it on the race course, and now it's interesting that I can see it on the track.
What a drama was that? Was that yelling at another boat? Me and Andy Camarda? Yelling at our guests?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, then I almost
man, Schroff at the gun over early by 65 meters. Jeez Louise.
Didn't even win the race either.
No, I remember that one. You missed the start on that one.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, that's how we did this. Couldn't hear that Mark said bot from the pin side.
Yeah. So Scotty really looking at is Scotty on this call?
Yeah.
He is? All right.
Yeah, I'm on.
Yeah, we're on the call.
Okay. I mean, so just looking at the numbers, you guys were just crushing the start. Do you guys want to talk through like what you were doing? Basically all of us looked at, it's ranking you as the top boat. You're always starting with speed and you're always right on the line.
To be honest, I barely remember what I had for dinner last night. I don't know that I remember race 6.
Any of the races. Just,
all of our starting process.
I would just say in general, I don't know, I picked port approaches for the most part. And I felt like people were getting to the line a little later, so you had some freedom later on to kind of pick a hole. There's a lot of difference in the fleet, so coming on port kind of helps for that. I usually try to, I know back in sailing school, I feel like a lot of times they're like, stay up on the line. I always feel like I have a little bit more control of other boats and I can create my position a little better if I'm a little further below the line to start and then work my way up. So I'll usually start more to leeward at 25 seconds. I kind of felt like that worked. But I know I looked at the videos of discussion from last week, and a lot of it is you create the hole. It's what we're all taught. But you go down for a little bit, and then I feel like you don't really roll the boat to get speed. You roll the boat to steer it up to the wind off of your reach, when you're reaching down to gather speed at the start. And then you roll the boat to leeward to steer the boat up, and then you flatten it, and that's how you get going. Is kind of the technique I usually will try to use if I can.
Yeah, I think our goal was mostly just to win the boat, and we were aware that it was favored. So
there was green boats lurking.
There was green boats. Yeah, that's always a good cue.
Watch for that. Yeah, on my tomfoolery.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. It seems that looking at kind of your track, I'm going through some of these quickly on my iPad here, and yeah, hitting the boat with speed was definitely your move, and it definitely seemed to work. The boats that were luffing on the line, I mean, that also kind of contributes to that sag we talked about, is when you line up on the line too early, you end up drifting back. So if you're on the line at like, 20 seconds, or you think you're really close, you're gonna end up losing a little ground and not necessarily starting as close as you had thought you would be. But that seemed to be the move, what Scotty was doing, just punching a hole through it at the boat and going off.
It is risky. Like we got kind of like one of the starts, we ended up ducking everybody.
I know, I was happy, and you still did well.
What do you want to look at next?
I don't know. We can start looking at some upwind stuff.
Yeah, let's go to race 2 and start looking at some upwind battles.
Tactics, yeah. The shifts were definitely left, right. There's big righty on the right, and I think the move was to get off the line on starboard on the first left, just step up on every lift. Those tracks show really good.
Yeah, so this is race number 2, the first upwind. So
yep, Scott farthest right, and he was first in that one, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
If you let's compare him against the. Yeah, so really going out right, if you look at the distance sailed, it is, as you would expect. Scotty, the boats that just went out and banged right were sailed significantly less than the boats that kind of tacked up the middle of the course.
That was really only true for like the beginning of the day, I would say.
Right.
Because that's where Jack and I were able to take advantage.
Yeah. So
people getting stuck in that mindset.
I mean, yeah. So during the let's see if I can find at one point that changed.
Did you guys notice on the right side that so there was that nice little puff right on the outside of land, but then was there like a little bit of a track closer to land, or did you guys not notice that?
I know.
We found a trap like halfway up the course on the right side. There was a hole, but only in the second half of the day.
Yes, there was. I fell into that one a few times, middle of the course.
Yeah, the second half of the day, it seemed like the bottom right was bad, and then like the upper left was kind of hit or miss. You kind of had to like get out of the lower right side.
What do you see?
Give me a second.
I think I think that day really kind of proves the rule of thumb when you're sailing and you've got winds coming down the shore like that. When it's breezy, go into the shore because there's going to be bigger shifts, and then when it's light, you go away from the shore because you need the pressure. I think the only times that the left really worked out, except a couple like fluky shifts, was in the really lighter races at the end of the day when people just got stuck on the right. But in general, as long as the breeze was up, I think we all agree that the right was better, and that's pretty normal, I think.
Yeah, I mean, so I just quickly zoomed through with the exception of race, what am I looking at, 7, the boat that won the first upwind leg was the boat that went and basically had this track. The going right and doing one tack, literally got to the mark first.
That and the fact that there was boat speed differentials too. Like Scott, I felt like you were the fastest guy on the course through the water, like just sailing out from under us, sailing past us. And where'd you go? Usually right?
You tended to go right, yeah, a little more.
Some boats like there would be an inside lefty, like as Finn was saying, the down, but you had to lead out of the left to come back to the top right to step up underneath boats that could be strung out too far right, overstood. A few
Yeah, I
times.
think
And
in the
left, we go
second
in.
half, I think in the second half of the day, like you didn't want to bang right. You wanted to hold like middle leftish and then right at the top. It was kind of an interesting swirly winds on that right side.
Yes, it was. Especially if they were close to the land and bent around the point a little. On 2 occasions, I caught nice lefty right at about within 4 bolt lengths of the weather mark. I was pinned back 2 steps, by the way, for those as the day went on when the breeze really picked up on those righties. The lefties were in a boat with water in it and still oddly went good. That's a good picture there.
So this is race 5. So this would have been about halfway through the day. So the blue track here is Bridget, and who won that race compared to got Schellenbach pulled up, who is like center of the pack. So
What's that middle straight line there? Is that a powerboat?
where?
Either that or that's some pretty good shift pick in there. There's a straight line going right up the middle. Like the rum line
That was
maybe?
downwind leg.
Downwind.
Yeah, downwind leg.
Okay.
So this is your first upwind. So Bridget, you tacked away pretty quickly off the line and went right.
Yeah, so for us, towards the end of the day, we were just using points on land to decide like when the best time was to take it right. And so we were like, had a little red house on shore, and then there was a water tower. That meant if we were pointing towards the water tower, we were knocked, and if we were above like the red barn or house on shore, this is on starboard, we were lifted. And so that was honestly what really helped us towards like the middle and end of the day, making sure we were in phase, because I think everyone can agree the shifts got way smaller, and you couldn't wait to like basically get auto tack to play the shifts.
Yeah, especially, yeah.
So I think off the line there, we were pretty not, and just decided to sail on port while it was favorable.
Lifted, in other words. But so you picked a point on shore to be kind of your sail comp, your lift head indicator explicitly. That's a neat trick.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Well, it's helpful because then you don't just tell yourself every time you get a new puff that it's a knock, because usually it's just wishful thinking.
True that. Yeah, that's a good one, explicit one. Boy, damn, Schellenbach on the left there. Yeah, I remember that one there. That's where you tacked on us, that big change. But yeah, you can see as this goes on that some of the lefties coming out of there were pretty vicious.
Yeah, when you look at kind of everybody's tracks throughout the day, they all start going just hard right one tack, and then yeah, here it gets a little nutty with even if you.
Can you show my racetrack of us capsizing in that race?
I absolutely can.
Did you put the tracker in the cooler so that could float away too?
Show the track going away. Yeah, there it is. There's the pirouette.
There's Schroff just, I don't know what he was doing here. Schroff, can you explain this maneuver? Because this doesn't really
well,
make any
you
sense.
have to, what you basically, the shorthand of it is that you basically kind of use the top of your rig to like as a ski pole.
Oh, just
plant around it.
I understand.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so bad that we had to take the rig off. But what happened was I forgot to put the plug in, and the boat just full of water. And then, you know, in just one little, we couldn't really roll. You can tell the boat doesn't accelerate, you know, it won't, a roll tack or kinetic movers aren't as powerful. And that round up really, we lost it because if there wasn't water in the boat, we would never lose it. Just the extra weight turned us right over, and nothing we did worked. Well,
yeah.
I think the water, when there's water in the boat, it would, when you're sailing, your weight's forward. So the water would congregate right over the dagger board, wouldn't you guys say? I'm just trying to figure out, how were we competitive getting fourths and thirds with water in the boat? There must be like just the center of location of it was best for wetted surface type of thing. I don't know, what's everyone think? Or if this is off topic, I'm happy to drop it and we can move on. Don't want to throw you off track.
Well, if you're sitting forward, the water would go, I would think, up to the bow
Yeah.
and maybe lift the transom out of the water a little more.
The bow, or yeah, I guess that there isn't very much camber to the hull. I don't know, what do you think, Ed? Anyway.
Always check your plug.
Yeah.
I feel like that, like there's a couple of times in this series where boats didn't have plugs or may have lost their plug during a race.
Want to take the dogs out?
So just make sure your plug is in and it's in well.
Yeah.
Apparently, people need to invest in the new plug that August came out with. That,
Yeah, do you have that?
Yeah.
Kellenbach, put that in the technical committee. Make it immediately part, so I'll install it. Put on my tab, Ed.
So here's the new plug. I'm gonna get close to the camera.
Kellenbach, can you add check your plug to the tuning guide that you put together?
There you go.
So I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, that should be the first step.
Can't see it yet, Megan.
So here's the new plug. And essentially it has a ball in it. So water can come out of your boat, but it will not go in the boat. I feel like a hand model right now. Not a good one.
Yeah, I can't see it. Can anyone else? I've seen it, so I know what it looks like, but I can't see I can't see your hand modeling.
I can see it.
It reminds me of having like the tennis balls in the 420.
Yeah, more or less, and especially for us in Chicago who are worried about our plugs getting stolen, you could like use sealant and just basically put this guy in for life and water will just be able to drain out.
You can also just send your crew in with a White Claw can, an empty one.
Oh, what? Say that again, Scott?
You just send your crew in with an empty White Claw can.
A White Claw can?
White Claw can? That's a joke.
A White Claw can, yes. Okay. Yeah, my crew loves White Claw too. You could.
So, all right, one thing that I do want to talk about. So, Shroff, in race 5, the little drama that went down at the, and I don't know the answer to this, and I just would like to have a discussion to figure out how the rules would work. So I know the boats that were involved, Andy's didn't have a tracker. Shroff, do you want to walk us through what happened at that top mark that got you guys all screaming and forced Ian to do penalty turns?
Well, it was the other kid was driving. It wasn't Ian. It was
their boat. Yeah.
The other guy. Yeah. And they, they're Tim. Yeah. Tim Trollope was the other one. Yeah, I think. And basically that big guy, he parallel parked within like one boat length, and we just like crashed into the back of him. Raked us over the Markset bot. Had hit Andy before that apparently, because when we went around the weather mark, it was just basically kind of too aggressive, just a reckless a little bit move.
Right.
Yeah, and so I mean they're good. They're up there. They're battling, but it's just one of those where it's just there's no need to be that reckless when you're not really totally in control of the boat. And they hit Andy too, and Andy was screaming like, if you're gonna foul, do your turns, otherwise get off the course. So that's what had them. That's what Andy was screaming at, and I was screaming at it's the way too tight of a move in there.
Right. So like watching it on the tracker. So they're the blue boat. Shroff, you're the orange boat here. I don't know why your arrow isn't pointing their way. You can see their tack. Ow. Just poke myself.
What's the radius here? 2 boat lengths? No, 3.
So that circle's showing the 3 boat length circle. So they tacked outside of the circle. And then they did indeed come to like a full stop. Unfortunately, we can't see where Andy was in all this. But this is what I'm curious about, because I know that Andy did not round the mark.
Yeah, Andy was,
Croft,
he's coming in on
did you
board.
round that mark?
Yeah, he went, yeah.
Schroff rounded that mark. We were right behind him.
He did? Okay. So the track.
Question, if they hit the mark and moved it, then if, because the mark spot can be moved.
Gotcha.
And I remember, they said it'll then spring back into place. But if someone was kind of pinning it out of position, I think it would be possible for someone else to round.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because this is, so the yellow mark here indicates where it was like supposedly anchored. But that means if Schroff, you did go around it, the mark was pulled all the way down pretty far off from where it was supposed to be, which is interesting.
Yep.
I know we moved it. There was one race we hit it. And
I saw you spinning it.
Yeah.
Hey,
So how many people did circles?
is it possible to actually
people
animate these tracks to actually like replay a race instead of it being like static?
I'm working on that. I'm trying to figure out a
New
good
program.
player to do them. What do I have?
How many people have hit marks this series and not done circles? Because we've seen a lot of it.
Me.
And
I hit one and I did my circle.
John, where are you
Just-
seeing that Andy didn't round that mark? Because I could have sworn we watched him round the mark.
The mark might have been out of place. I know that Andy didn't round the mark.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if it forced Schroff to not round it as well.
I mean, I
The
went
track
around.
is much lower than the buoy.
Yeah. I mean, I went around the thing.
Okay. Andy,
So that's not it.
I was just curious from because I mean, there weren't any, in a situation like that, even if you're fouled at the mark, if you're forced to not go around it, you still, as far as my understanding is, you still have to round it. Because I know I watched Andy just get fouled by that boat, not go around the mark, and then just keep sailing.
Is that something that you have to address in the protest room?
Right. I would just bring up
Andy does. No one else does. He didn't race the course.
Yeah.
Right. So in that situation, what is it like? Is anybody out here a rules expert that could talk us through what you would do in that situation?
We were hoping Dennis would be here. He was
Yell at him.
This actually happened to me at a high school regatta, and someone capsized on top of me, and we drifted, below the mark. I was still upright, and then I went back and rounded the mark, and it was a Mallory qualifier, and I was able to get redressed, but I still rounded the mark.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't rounded the mark, I wouldn't have been able to get redress, is what the judge said.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I feel like if you don't round the mark, you haven't sailed the course.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you do round the mark, you would protest, request redress, and then you would get some compensation for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just something I noticed on the course, just to bring up, because and we watched Andy. Is Andy on this call?
No, it's his birthday.
Oh, well.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So that was a situation that just you got to go around the mark, even if you're fouled, and even if it takes you forever, then you have to either protest the boat and then file for redress. But yeah, I don't know, Schroff. This GPS track is awfully suspicious.
Yeah, I probably
you rounded it. I believe you.
And completed the tack, but it was.
It's not Schroff's fault. Somebody else dragged the mark down.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't matter. Yeah, if the mark moves, as long as you go around it. That wouldn't be an issue. But Andy then.
Put it this way: the tracker shows that that the tack was clean, but just in the moment in what was happening,
I get that. Yeah. I'm not accusing anybody of doing anything, because really the foul, it seemed like it was against Andy, and we don't have his boat here.
Yeah. So
And
we're looking
oddly
for
enough,
like
he isn't
Understanding?
Just kidding.
What's that, Megan?
I said, and oddly enough, he isn't here either. But I'm just joking.
Yeah, I just.
We can talk about him.
Yeah, that's why we're talking shit and talking about how he's a cheater for not going around all the marks. Just kidding. I kind of. No, but so just that was one like rules thing I noticed on during the racing. Ian did do his circles. He did complete both.
Yes, he did. And then they apologized profusely, like gentlemen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to them when I showed up. I met them and talked to them a little bit. Nice guys. One's English, one's German.
Is there any specific races anyone wants to look at or has questions about?
I have a follow-up question. So when it's between two boats, isn't it a 720 turn according to the rule book and you have to do the 2 turns, or in the V15 fleet is that different?
In the
Your SIs.
Yeah, in the SIs it addresses that.
So
Yeah, the SIs, it remains a 720 unless it's just a hit the mark. If you hit the mark, it's a 360 in the V15 SIs.
Yeah.
No, but it's a 360 if the infringement happens outside of the zone. It's a 720 if it happens inside of the 3 boat lanes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what the SI is.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what was that race that somebody was called over on? And I kind of want to see the starting line for that one.
Does anybody remember what race number it is? Or who was over?
I think, was it Schellenbach at the pin?
Yeah.
It was Straw.
No, it was
It was
Schellenbach.
you.
Me?
It was 801.
I don't know who that is.
No, I'm pretty sure it was John. John, were you over early in race like 4? Because we were right next to you, I feel like.
We were definitely over early.
You were 100,000% over early. The one you got called back for. Yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah, I think
Probably
there was
have
one where we
fun.
were above Andy, and I was trying to get across his bow, and didn't make it. So, ended up over early.
How come on your data set here, it shows some of the races as having 6 legs, even though all of the races...
It's going off of, it's trying to figure that out. And the times I have, it's the start of the race to the last boat finishing, which was usually in the data me. And sometimes I was pretty far behind you guys. So after I finished, some of you made a turn that the computer sensed enough to be like another leg.
I see.
Yeah. So it was basically you guys kept sailing, waiting for me to finish, and it thinks that you guys were still you guys went up winning again. Basically, that's why some of these have a lot of legs. The more legs it has means the worse I did. Basically, is what that translates to.
While you're pulling up that start, we do have this weekend, we're doing just a fun sail regatta. I've talked to most of you about it, and some majority of you, I believe, are signed up. But it's just going to be a 2-day kind of hang out and sail type thing. We're thinking about Sunday morning doing a race across the lake and grabbing brunch and then racing back, and that would be Sunday. And then Saturday having an afternoon little couple of races in. So if you guys are still interested, please sign up. It's going to be like just low key. And then at night, we are going to do, have a DF65 race off of are we doing it off of the rowing center?
We'll do so. Yeah, we'll do it somewhere.
We'll find a place.
It'll be in the water, somewhere in the water.
How many of these DF65 exist?
140 of them in Chicago.
But like within our group, because I don't have one.
Ed and I each have one here. We will.
Sean, if you put mine together, you can finish putting mine together. He can use it because I won't be able to. I have Cole's birthday party.
So
I have a broken one if someone wants to put it together.
We can also.
I'll fix your broken one.
I'm gonna reach out to Carrie Camarda because I believe she has 2 or 3 of them, and she also should be down here regardless sailing because it's.
Dan Burns should know a couple of DF people too.
Yeah.
Not that one.
But yeah, so at night we're doing the DF racing, and then we'll do a little camp out, and then Sunday we'll wake up sail off to brunch. So yeah, it's just.
What are we doing for dinner on Saturday night? Are we gonna have like a cookout or?
We were gonna play it by ear. We haven't done much planning. We still have to keep in mind that we're in the middle of a pandemic. So
not in Indiana though.
Yeah, we're in our own little
not in
bubble.
Wallace, Indiana.
But we don't want to be preparing food for everyone here, in case that's, in my mind, that's just germs spreading, because we don't have the resources to make sure like we're wearing gloves and masks while we're preparing other people's food. So that's kind of where I feel uncomfortable, and I want to make sure everyone else is safe. So we may order or go out, or everyone does their own dinner, but we'll figure it out. It's kind of up in the air right now.
What about having a grill running and then it's a like bring your own meat kind of thing and throw it on?
That's what I was thinking.
There you go, Showbuck.
Yeah, we can definitely run that by and get confirmation out tomorrow.
Basically Nagawicca type of mode.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing too serious. There's no schedule, which is really hard for me to do. But
Well, I guess if you could just establish like an assembly time for Saturday.
Exactly, yeah. So we'll keep everyone up to date, but it should just be a fun, relaxing kind of weekend. Yeah. So
And then what's the deal with camping? Like just in the yard there?
Yeah, so I mean, most of you, I think all of you have been up at Sail 22. So they are on 6 acres of land. So we're gonna mow one of the areas for everyone to camp. We put Scotty in the pasture with his new buddies, the sheep and donk and billy goat. But yeah, there's plenty of room for us to spread out and camp here.
Okay, so race 4, Schellenbach went back around. It doesn't show him over the line, but let's see how he did compared to everybody else. You went back and fully rounded the pin, right, Schellenbach? I think you did. That's what the.
So I actually think I might have been over twice. Once where I went around the pin, and once the time with Andy, I was pretty close to the middle of the line. So I think I just dipped back down and then restarted. But I don't remember for sure.
I remember you punched really bow forward, most certainly over, and we punched it at a second early. I'm like, oh shit, but nothing happened. So we got off the line while, you know, watching you because you're the competition. And you were still kind of up there. So it made me think like you probably didn't necessarily restart.
I definitely restarted the time.
That'd be out of character for you
though. The one with Andy, I was way over and I definitely restarted.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. I can't find Schellenbach egregious. Schellenbach, I gave you had a tracker in your boat, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. It's somewhere in here. Maybe you weren't over.
I'm sure I was. I know one of the races I was.
I know in race 5, in race 4 you definitely were. I can't find 2 though.
6. Try race 6, Sean. I think that's the one I noticed.
Race 6, he didn't turn back if he was over.
What about 7? It was later in the day.
Did not turn back either. I can only find one race where Schellenbach turned back. So he was only over for 1.
And is that from the middle or the pin?
You were at the pin.
That's the one I remember because we were in the middle and I was looking down and I saw it.
Well, we can see exactly where.
Yeah, like Gerb's vision was fully blocked, you know, so you could be a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, remember, this is how they start because we were right above you.
Yeah.
Okay, race 4.
Let's see where. Okay,
so
yeah, that might be the one I'm thinking of with Andy because I see we kind of like went and almost like luffed up. I had to like let everybody sort of pass by us.
Yeah, you're basically had to win very slow right here, and that's where everybody's passing, and then you're able to go. I don't know.
How many boats were to your left?
We were, I think, fairly far left on the line, but I don't remember.
I think it was just you, Andy, and then us. I think you were the last boat, but I could be wrong.
There you go. Yeah, Schellenbach, 86%, 98% Cook, Tim or Ian. The Brit, yeah, those guys started pin of you. And to your right was Sean.
So there's Schellenbach doing his turn back down, and you had, oh yeah, who was inside of you? Yeah, Cook was below you.
Yep, Ian. For those of you that don't know him, he's a 29er sailor. And their rig was on all wrong, and they're still quick.
Oh, I was going the fastest at the start, but I was, 12 seconds late and 15 meters off.
Sean, you have a crew on your boat that helps with that.
Oh, yeah.
But you had to ping everything.
Oh, yeah.
Our starts were horrible because our starts were so bad because he, on his phone, had to hit the timer at 1 minute, and then we would start doing our start sequence.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so our starts, I know, are horrible because we had other things to track for everyone else. So.
Oh, you know what? I can totally print these and print them as PDFs, and I can send. Yeah, I didn't realize I could do this. I'm gonna make all of these reports and everything. Everybody will get an email with all of this, so everybody can kind of comb through it and.
Oh, please don't.
Because it's there's
don't do that, Sean. Don't do that.
But I think it would be really good for you guys to have a moment to take a look at it and digest it, and then we can kind of start a back and forth conversation with just the people on this call, and other skippers who are unable to make it, so we're not cluttering up other fleet members' emails. But we can just reply all and keep the conversation going. I think would be a really good idea.
Yeah, follow-up conversation would be great.
Yeah, for sure.
That's something we can maybe even do this weekend when we're all here hanging out together and sailing.
Absolutely.
6 feet apart.
Yeah, I think so. Essentially, yesterday morning I had a call with Jonas from Sail Norwich, and he helped me get all of this data in and showed me how to do all these reports and everything. So it was very he spent, it was close to 2 hours in the morning. He's very into helping us and very excited that we're using all of this. So we're gonna keep fine tuning it and developing it and seeing what we can get out of it. But it definitely warrants some just combing over and going through and looking through. You can get some good info out of it. So this will go out to everybody for sure.
Yeah. I downloaded the client. There's one you can download, and if you can set my account into this data.
I can share everybody's boat with everybody who wants it, and so you'll be able to see everybody in this race. So if you want this data, make an account, send me your info, and I'll add you to the list of people who can see it.
Send you what? The account, our currently existing account number? So we create an account and then send it.
If you create a Sail Norwich account, I can add you as somebody who can see the boat. I can add you as a manager to the boat or whatever.
All right. I sent you in the chat my email, but I'm happy to just send it as an email or my account.
Well, I have yours in the chat here, but anybody else, we can set it up if you're interested in.
Yeah, no, this is awesome. I'm going to definitely look at this for a moment in time of things I remember to look at, fast speed through the water and the shifts were picked versus the rest of the fleet. I think that's super helpful. I wouldn't do that otherwise.
The dream would be to have, a wind instrument on the committee boat so you can get some wind data in here too. But, looking at really through the data, the takeaway from this race, there were a lot of shifts, but really just boat speed, was keeping your boat speed up was the most important thing that I'm seeing. There's a direct correlation between average speed over ground and who ended up in first, for sure.
Really?
Does anyone want to share any like really one big takeaway that they had from this meeting, from this debrief? No pressure.
I guess one big takeaway I had was that the way I sized the course up was pretty good. Definitely also just was correct on just how far up the line the marks that bot was, so I'm citing it well. Definitely too, and that I didn't have any reason to protest the European team at the weather mark. It turns out.
That's pretty cool that because like the V15 is in here, so it knows how long our boat is. So it's cool that you can actually see the circle because there's a lot of situations where that can be a little iffy whether it's inside or outside. So actually having some hard evidence to that is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Jack and I are going to sign off, but thank you guys for doing this. This is awesome.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, if you want to come out racing with us on Thursday nights, as soon as we get back in Chicago, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, we're not able to come this weekend to the thing, but definitely keep us in the loop.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Bridget. Thanks, Jack.
Okay. Bye, guys.
So I had one more thought to go along with this data, Schellenbach, and that's like I could send you in race for race what my shroud settings were.
So that actually is one thing that I wanted to bring up, and we had a Zoom meeting earlier today, and I brought it up, is with all this data and everything we're gathering, like if people just carry like a little waterproof notepad and just jot down, what all your settings at, and when you make changes, just make a note of like when you change things, and then we can really look at, you were doing better when you hit your rig at like this versus that. So really recording anything you do on your boat as well, so we can correlate it against all this stuff, would be pretty cool to have.
Yeah, we should also, there's like, I think Al Sargent is the guy to talk to that has, the measurements, because it'd be good to measure the boats if we want to get the data and just baseline the boats by like 22 and change from the top of the rig to the transom and kind of baseline measure the boats, and then go from there, talk in terms of individual steps, race for your tuning log idea. And I think that'd give you a really good azimuth on, okay, just what the rig tuning differences really are, because my base is, I haven't measured my boat, so my base is different than Schellenbach's base. So if we talk about them as both the base, it might throw the basis off.
Right, yeah.
What do y'all think?
Yeah.
I got a tape measure and all that.
I was thinking if we do, it's always hard when we get off the water. Really what we would need to do is take measurements, but everyone is always rushing to get their boats de-rigged and everything. So if we do a cross the lake sail, that would be a good chance to really look at boat speed, because we're going to be, probably going in a straight line for a long distance.
Yeah.
And then once we get across the lake, if we bring a tape measure with us, we could, at that point, when we're stopping for brunch, do measurements, and, we're not going to be rushing to de-rig the boat or anything. So that could be a good time to try to do some of those comparisons.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this would be a great time and we can gather all the tracking and everything, and then record I like that.
Cool.
Yeah, my rig is a little bit off center by maybe as much as a half centimeter or a quarter centimeter. I didn't really feel it as pronounced, but I don't know what the rake looks like at all. So as long as I have my tape measure in my Husky bag that I bring, so I'll definitely keep that stuff. Need to measure just pull up to the main halyard, I think. And what do you measure? The tip of the rig to the back of the boat. You measure the head stay. I have a head stay scale. I got that bag that Sean gave me, actually, of all those stickers. Or that Megan gave me that she got from Sean, I guess. But yeah, we could, I've got the head stay measurement, and I think then the shrouds need to be measured, those 4 things.
Well, I think typically you just do the tip of the mast to the back of the boat to get your rake.
Yeah.
And then, in theory, your shrouds should be even. I know yours aren't, but
No, they're not.
That's,
Well,
that's
so the one thing
shrouds.
is, do we have a conversion from Staymasters to chain plates? Like if you're at X on the Staymaster, it's like this many holes in the chain plate.
Not that I know of.
No, we don't. But I mean, it all varies because the shrouds can be different lengths.
Right.
The wire part, but really that rake measurement gets you, gets you the rake. So going from top of the mast to the transom, regardless of whether you have Staymasters or chain plates, you're still going to get that distance. There may be a little variation depending on how much jib halyard you have on. That's where having like some kind of lose gauge or tension gauge would be good. But in general, the measurement from the top of the mast to the back of the transom,
That's all you need, huh?
will be the same regardless of what you have to adjust your shrouds.
Is that, and you measure that with the rig at tension?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So what would be the base? That would then be your base setting with the jib
I mean, I
halyard.
guess you measure it. You could do it either at tension or just snug, but
Well, yeah, so that it's like basically when the sails are up, is that when that measurement is for?
Yeah.
Type of thing. Okay. Well, good. Right on. Yeah. I know I'm off by one. My left side is and when I'm at setting of 8, I have my left set at 6.5.
yeah, you need new shrouds because that's wrong.
You know, to get that, Sean? New shrouds. Yeah, when we put maybe some fleet coin towards getting Staymasters on the other 2 fleet boats or the other 1 fleet boat. What do you think? Would that be worth
Well,
it?
the hard part with that is it's shrouds and Staymasters, so it just adds a little bit. I mean, yes, if you want to chip in, that makes it better. But Staymasters are basically $100 for a set.
Yeah.
And then the shrouds we'd have to check, but you're probably gonna, a couple $100 to switch out each boat.
Yeah, so you could switch me out with new shrouds and new Staymasters, and then with Staymasters existing ones, I don't know if I'll keep spares, or then that could possibly be donated to the club boat because you can still swap them in, right? Or no, the shroud's length has.
Yeah, or you could just swap. You could just swap the wire, and then the club's only, then you only need $100 per boat, which is obviously a big difference.
It's only one boat, right?
So the big thing with figuring out the rake is figuring out the tension on the forestay, and to make sure you get it right. So figuring out that system is probably what you want, and an easy way to do it just might be to figure out a base tension for one boat, and then create like a strop that you could just throw on the bow of any boat, and then that could be used, or even a fake halyard or something that you could use to make sure everyone gets even, because you need a number on the front because that mast is going to move all over the place. One person's medium tension is not going to be the next guy's medium tension.
Yeah, that's exactly.
That's something that could be. Yeah, and that's something that should be worked on with multiple boats to try to get that.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. I mean, towards our aspirations of getting everybody up to speed, like Vanguards are super sensitive to rig tune. And so, yeah, we can center everybody and then it'll let us share the settings, especially on top of the data.
And if we're making shrouds, I have the Luther Carpenter shroud length, which would make sense for everybody to use.
Yeah.
John, we should compare that. There's an article out there as well that has the numbers. So you should compare the two to see if they're exactly the same or similar. It's a San Francisco boat, so he has it listed as what you should have and what he prefers. And so he might prefer shorter, so he puts more tension on. But those combination of those 3 numbers, should help the decision a lot.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see. I only know the one number. It's what Luther had used, but yeah, I'd be curious to see if they're how similar or how different they are.
Luther's probably pretty accurate.
Yeah, he was, when the class was in its heyday, he was the master of the tuning.
Mike O'Connor.
I was involved before Staymasters.
Man.
All right, so I've been trying to butt into this conversation, I felt like you guys kept just ignoring me and talking over me, and then I realized Megan had muted the mic. I have a question for Shroff. Are you sure? Are you like 100% sure that your wires are different sizes, like different lengths for your shrouds? Because I just got like on a mast. Wrong camera. Oh man. So I found like a mast that had, so the bolt that goes through where the shroud's attached was actually like drilled from the factory at a pretty significant angle. So if like the green line is like, 90 degrees to the mast, they were,
Are you
like
showing
that.
me something? I can't see it.
Oh,
What am
yeah, I
doing
can
wrong?
send it to you. But basically the bolt that goes through the mast that holds like the hounds up there was on an angle. It wasn't straight like 90 degrees to the mast. So everything was skewed. So you might have like the same length shrouds, but that might be your problem. And that was from the factory. Like it hadn't been re-drilled. It was the original hole. So that's something to check too. And that will
Like,
Kind of hard.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say it's kind of hard to re-drill, but I think Trop just needs a new mast.
Yeah, right.
Well, that mast actually, dude, that mast was recovered from this. Remember Schellenbach when the storm came straight down the lake and took a right and went right over the top of our Thursday night? That boat, they had to abandon ship. And like the rig, I had that rig straightened, so it's bent to the left by it just a tiny bit. I noticed.
Might be bent a little more now.
Yeah, I looked at that. Actually, the first thing I looked at, and it's still okay. I guess, yeah. But good thing it's muddy at the bottom of that lake. I don't know, but I'd be amazed to get a new rig. I mean, actually, a new rig could be pricey, can't it? But I don't know, Mike.
Well, we should get pricing anyway, just to make sure we know, because, if there's an issue, there's an issue. I know Selden makes them, so.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I'll be interested in a quote. I mean, to look at that rig, because I can't be putting all this money and working hard on the hull only to have a rig that's like irrecoverably warped. Or I don't know. I mean, we'll talk about it. I don't know. What do you think? How bad is it? I mean, can I still, with offset Staymaster lengths, still kind of be fine with it?
Yeah, I mean,
Mike, you just need to know your mast. That's it.
Yeah.
You just need to know your mast, so you make a change.
Yeah, but it's just something to be aware of, because you might buy brand new, shrouds that are exactly the same length, and it'll still be off, because that might not be the problem. It might be at the top.
That's a good point. So yeah, that I had not thought of. But yeah, to your point, Ed, I know that mast pretty well, and that's one of the things. I'm like, a new section, huh? That's all stiffer and bends differently. Like, I would probably mess with me in ways I wouldn't suspect.
So you could actually make offset shrouds if it is crooked, so your numbers are the same.
Yeah, that's more than
that would actually be the solution, because you wouldn't want to re-drill that hole, because you'd end up just boring it out, and you'd have a lot of slop in there. So you'd want to just get shrouds different, like two different lengths.
And your shrouds would keep getting longer and longer as it drags its way down the mast.
Yeah.
The wires kind of get straighter. Yeah, those shrouds, my shrouds right now are, they're warped. Like there's a kink in one of them. So, I mean, I'm kind of already pretty inclined to replace the shrouds and do an offset, if that's what you think. That sounds good to me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we can figure out what that is and if that's the issue or not. But yeah, that kind of was like eye-opening, that from the factory, the hole wasn't even like nearly perpendicular to the mast. I'm like, yeesh.
No, dude, I went to the.
Is that eye-opening, or is that surprising?
I don't know. I guess like I was kind of shocked, but then not really.
Dude, bunch of Rhode Island.
We should talk to Josh about that one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, the Vanguards. Yeah, they're like, there's like God knows what's like J boats. Stuff is like off center. The Vanguards. Yeah, I should measure all that crap too. Yeah, actually, yeah, you could on. That's a good point on the boat. Like the forward section, the hull's a little soft. I could measure from the tip of the bow to each of the chain plates to see if that length is the same. Draw a center line. Measure their true fore and aft. I bet you that's different.
I mean, really, we just gotta laser this thing. You know, we gotta.
You got laser thingy, don't you? One of them laser lights?
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of lasers and.
Yeah, it's pretty high tech in the speed barn, you know.
Yeah, you guys got all kinds of stuff floating in that barn of yours. But yeah, no, I mean,
It's all about lasers, Shroff. It's all about lasers.
Vanguard's not lasers, Ed. Rick spoke you.
Sorry.
All right, are we all done other than figuring out Shroff's?
Yeah, I was just about to say. Yeah, thank you guys for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it.
Well, we're gonna keep working on best ways to use all this data, try to record more, and we'll send you what we have so you guys can come through it.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, do you want to stay on the line and work on my Nord account real quick?
We have something that we have to go to,
but I will add you. So you made an account. I have the email address you used. I will add you, and I'll issue you a text when you should be able to get in and see it.
Okay,
cool.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you everyone else for joining. We really appreciate it. As always, this has been recorded and we'll post it later for you guys to reference. And then as Sean said, he'll be sending out the PDF files of what we have. And yeah, awesome. If you have any questions, please send them our way and we'll try to answer them for you.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks for your time.
Thanks. See you, everyone.
Bye.